How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In this video, we're going to take a look at a very strong team that I put together in the Open Great League. Now, I was having a really rough time in the Halloween Cup running my Shadow Bat backline. I managed to crash all the way from 2550 back down to 2300. So I pondered my life for a couple days, and I decided, you know what? Let's see if we can put together a strong team in the Open Great League that can get us back up. And that is exactly what I did. I went up from 2300 all the way back up to 2615. This team is very strong and it's very bulky, which is nice, and it also has a lot of good coverage on the current meta. Now, Defense Deoxys on the lead over there, it's very nice to have that Psycho Boost on the lead because you can throw a Psycho Boost and then you can dip out, resetting that debuff. Defense Deoxys used to be really common on the safe swap, and with the Trevenants and Sableye everywhere, it's just really not that good as a safe swap anymore. So I like to run that on the lead. And then you guys have all known and seen XL Diggers be in action. It's an absolute beast. And then Dubwool. Dubwool surprised me very much. And with its moveset, it actually kind of reminds me a bit of like a hybrid between an Obstagoon and a Vigoroth. It's pretty bulky, as it can take some hits for sure. And it has a nice amount of coverage with that fighting. It can handle the steals, and it can handle the ghosts with that payback. And that's something that in the last video you might have seen my double normal flyers. Although they did very well against ghosts, if the opponent was running multiple steel types, it was pretty much a game over. And this is not the case with this team. This team can handle the steel types and the ghost types. And it's just really good. And you guys are going to see me put in some serious work with it. And we do actually lose quite a few leads. I saw a lot of Altaria leads, and you'll see here in this first battle, Altaria can be a little bit tricky, but we can work our way around it. We aren't running Rock Slide, as you see there, but that's okay. We can still do some decent damage with Thunderbolt. But the opponent, he has a really nice job here of throwing before we get to our Thunderbolt. And unfortunately, the Altaria does outpace us in this matchup too. So really, there's no way we can win this lead, because even if we land 2 Thunderbolts, the Altaria can simply throw his second Sky Attack and either force me to shield to get the second one off, or just take the second Thunderbolt and then farm down. And he actually decides to shield the first, which that's fine by me, honestly. Maybe he thought it was going to be a Rock Slide, but he does let us get the second Thunderbolt off, even though he could have thrown his Sky Attack there. But as you see, it just really doesn't do that much damage. And now, since this opponent shielded, our Dubwool is going to have a little bit of a tricky time taking this out, because he's not quite in a range where a Body Slam is going to KO. So I know he's probably going to get to a second Sky Attack here, so I go ahead and I shield that first one, especially since he committed a shield. I was willing to match shields. And he actually shields my Body Slam as well, which I was not expecting. Maybe just wanting to guarantee that he gets this damage off. But I know Dubwool can take this. Dubwool's pretty tanky. Excuse me. And as you see, the game lags, guys. I was going to say the Dubwool really didn't take much damage from the Sky Attack, but that lag, I don't know if you guys have been noticing this, but state of the game has just been absolutely terrible for the past week. The lag has been terrible. So we take the Sky Attack, we throw our Body Slam, and we take out the Altaria, and the opponent's actually coming in with a Trevenant. So does the opponent know about payback? I was thinking maybe the opponent thought that I was running the Body Slam Wild Charge, which is a potential moveset for Dubwool, but I waited a second to see if he's going to catch it. He's not. He's just going to let us hit him with his payback, and the payback absolutely destroys the Trevenant, and there's a Registeel him back, so this game is now over. As you're going to see here, this Registeel does outpace us to the Focus Blast, but one Focus Blast just is going to be shrugged off by this XL Diggersby, and we're easily going to get to an Earthquake and then a Fire Punch before the opponent gets to another move here, and that's going to be a good game. So despite the tricky lead, you can see that this backline oftentimes has a lot of play against the opponent's backlines when they're running flyers on the lead. Now, if the opponent would have had, say, like an Azu in the back, it could have been a little tricky, but we take game 1 and a close game to the opponent. And another Altaria in the next game. I face so many Altaria leads. So we're going to play it the same way. If the opponent is smart, he will throw his Sky Attack right before I get to my move, and he does, very nicely timed there. And I'm really honestly hoping that the opponent doesn't shield. As you saw, the opponent in the last game committed shields. I would honestly just prefer to get 2 moves off on this thing and then farm it down with Dubwool, but we'll see how the opponent decides to play it. He does let the Thunderbolt go, which is great, and he could throw here, but he likely will just farm down. And again, he doesn't have to shield this Thunderbolt if he doesn't want to. We'll see what he decides to do. And he actually does commit the shield again, so again, I really would have preferred that damage, but I'll take the shield. And I know Dubwool is going to probably again have to take 2 Sky Attacks here. So I'll slightly overfarm, and I'll take this first sky attack. Let's see how much damage it does. And it's actually a Dazzling Gleam, so this Altaria is an old Altaria running Dazzling Gleam. So that actually does a lot more damage than I was expecting. So nice play by the opponent there, maybe recognizing I was going to call a sky attack. But we do end up farming down, and we come out with a body slam, so this is still looking okay. But the opponent has an Napoleon in the back, so this could get tricky. I'm really hoping for the shield here, knowing that I can then one-shot it with Earthquake. But the opponent calls it, it's just a payback, and now I'm recognizing, however, that I can come in here and shield once and probably farm this thing all the way down with Mudshot before he gets to a second Hydro Cannon. Because as you see, that payback still did a lot of damage, and that Napoleon's getting pretty low. And the opponent makes a big mistake there. He recognizes too late what I was trying to do, and he brings in the Toxicroak, but now the Toxicroak is coming into a loaded Earthquake already, and we're easily going to be able to outpace this to another move. I will have to shield this Mud Bomb, but we'll easily get this Earthquake off before the opponent can get to a second Mud Bomb in. And this Earthquake's easily going to be one-shotting the Toxicroak. Toxicroak is very, very glassy, and this Earthquake will be super effective, and bam, we take out the Toxicroak, and now the Napoleon's in Mudshot farm down range, and we take that game. So a very, very close game. Well played to the opponent, but again, our backline, even with the Altaria lead, could handle their backline. So Galarian Stunfisk in this match, and he safe switches into a Sableye, which is a very common safe swap in this meta. And Diggersby just has a very commanding matchup here. Even if the opponent lands a return here, which he likely will, he does. As you can see, that doesn't even do half, and we will outpace this opponent again to, before he gets his second return, we will get an Earthquake and a Fire Punch off if need be. So let's see what he does here. And he actually lets that go. So right away, I'm just going to get this Fire Punch off. And now if the opponent wants to get off more energy, he's going to have to commit a shield on a Fire Punch. And he elects just to let it go. And now he's in a tough situation. I doubt he's going to want to bring back in that Stunfisk. But let's see what he has in back. And it's a Shadow Swampert. So that's a little bit scary. Our backline doesn't love to see Shadow Swampert, but very nicely played there by the opponent, counting up to my Earthquake and then throwing his Hydro Cannon on the CMP tie. So what he's done there is he's given himself almost a full extra Hydro Cannon. So he's almost at 2 here. I believe he actually overfarmed past the double Hydro Cannon, but I really just need to get some damage off on this thing. So I'm really hoping the Psycho Boost lands, and I was actually very surprised that the opponent let that go. Because now we should be in a position where we can take a Hydro Cannon and then switch into our Dubwool. We are going to probably have to shield a Hydro Cannon from the Swampert, but we should be able to double kick down before the opponent gets to another. This is probably going to force him to switch out here and switch back into that G-Fisk. And that's exactly what he does. So still going to be a little tricky because the G-Fisk is up 2-to-1 shields. And for that reason, I see that the opponent's up shields. I think he's probably not going to be willing to bait. So I shield the first, and it's actually the Earthquake. So a very nice shield there. And now I'm not going to throw my payback. I don't want to give the opponent an opportunity to shield a big move and waste a lot of my energy. So I'm just going to be going straight Body Slam here. And as you're going to see, the double kick Body Slam spam, even though the Body Slams are resisted, they're really going to add up. And as you see, this G-Fisk is already getting very low. And we still have so much energy. And this G-Fisk is going to have to start shielding Body Slams here if he wants to survive. And the opponent realizes that. So I'm going to take this Earthquake. Obviously, I guess I don't have a choice. I don't have any shields, but you're going to see the bulk of Dubwool here. We tank that Earthquake pretty comfortably. I bring in the Defense Deoxys there, and he actually maybe tried to catch there. I'm not sure. But yeah, he realized that our fighting fast moves were just going to be too much there, and we take that game. So very, very close game to the opponent and well played. So Skarmory lead in the next battle. This is definitely a positive matchup for Defense Deoxys. So here I will throw after 10 counters, and that will be 20 turns versus 21 turns, which would be needed for the Brave Bird. And if the opponent doesn't shield this will do a lot of damage. And he does respect it with the shield, and he's still farming up here. So I'm expecting him probably not to bait and to full send the Brave Bird. Let's see what he does. So we respect it with the shield, and it is a Brave Bird, so that's a very nice shield. And now the opponent brings in an Azu, and I'm not going to switch out here. This is exactly where we want to see the Azu. Like I mentioned before, Deoxys is our best flying and our best Azu counter. So we're going to stay right here, and I'm thrilled to keep this away from my backline, honestly. Again, if the opponent decides to not throw the Hydro here, we're going to live. And it is just a play rough, and we live, and we're going to get to this next Thunderbolt here. And this is either going to do massive damage onto the Azu, or we're going to just take it out. Honestly, I would prefer to take it out other than getting the shield, but let's see. And he does shield that. So now I bring in the Diggersby right away, knowing that I'm going to outpace this to another Hydro. I assumed that the Diggersby was not running Ice Beam, or he probably would have thrown it on the Defense Deoxys. So that's why I bring in the Diggersby there. If it was running Ice Beam, he definitely would have gotten to the Ice Beam there before my my Earthquake. So we take out the Azu, and the opponent comes back in with a Skarmory here. And this honestly isn't the best matchup for Skarmory. So I'm thinking at this point there's probably going to be a Trevenant in back, just because when you see an Azu, you just have to assume there's probably a Ghost somewhere on the team. And since I haven't seen it yet, I'm assuming that it's going to be in the back. So we're going to overfarm slightly and take the Skarmory out, and I'm more than expecting to see a Trevenant. I'm just like planning on it at this point. Sorry, excuse me. And let's see what it actually is in the back. And sure enough, it's a Trevenant, and there's really no reason for me to bank a Fire Punch here. I should just come right away in with the Dubwool. But yeah, you already can see what's happening here, guys. This Trevenant's going to be absolutely decimated by a payback here, and as you can see, Dubwool, again, really has a decent amount of bulk. It looks like it could even take, maybe even take 2 more Seed Bombs. Let's see how much the second one does here. And yeah, I think we could even take 1 more Seed Bomb, just barely. So Dubwool has a surprising amount of bulk. And bam, we level the Trevenant. So good game. Sorry, my throat's just very scratchy. I think the allergies are really getting to me. So I've been coughing and sputtering now, and I've been a mess, honestly. So thank you for bearing with me. So a Trevenant lead on the next battle. We switch into our Dubwool, and again, more Niantic lag. Guys, come on, please fix the game. It's been an absolute shambles lately. So the opponent actually decides to bring in a G-Fist to our Dubwool safe swap in. This is not a good response to a G-Fisk. I know here that I can take back Switch, especially after I landed that payback here. So the opponent's going to probably hit us with an Earthquake here, but we do not have to respect an Earthquake. And we're going to put the pressure on the opponent here. The opponent knows this is only a Body Slam, but even if he decides to let this go, this is going to do enough damage to where we're going to be able to double kick this thing down and only have to commit 1 shield. So sure enough, he's going to probably throw a Rock Slide here. But again, as you see, these double kicks are no joke. They really add up. And we take the G-Fisk out, and we only had to commit 1 shield there, so we now have Switch, which is great. So our Deoxys is not going to have to face that Trevenant in the endgame. The opponent does bring in a Skarmory. I was hoping he might shield, thinking it's a Wild Charge, but he correctly calls the payback there, and it still does a nice amount of damage. But honestly, I don't care what this Skarmory throws at me here, because health on my Deoxys is not going to be super helpful to me with the Trevenant still in play. So I do take the Brave Bird there, and instead of switching out right away, I make sure to get the Psycho Boost off first. Reason being, this is going to do about half health on the Trevenant, but it still chunks, as you see there. And now this has put the Trevenant basically into a range where 1 Fire Punch will nearly KO. And even down a shield, guys, Diggersby can absolutely destroy Trevenant here, because Trevenant's going to have to get to 4 Seed Bombs here to KO us, 2 to do enough damage, and then 1 to get the shield, and then the final one will finally KO. Because as you're going to see here, second Seed Bomb does not come close to KOing our Diggersby, and we actually do slightly outpace the Trevenant as well. So the thing we're going to need to watch for here is a catch. So I'll be carefully timing these moves, kind of throwing on off times to prevent the opponent from catching. So let's see what he decides to do here. He does commit his last shield on the Fire Punch, and he brings the Skarmory in right away, but I'm going to overfarm slightly to make sure I'm going to be able to outpace this Trevenant. So we throw right before the opponent gets to another Sky Attack, and now I know I'm not in danger of being Shadow Clawed down by this Trevenant, and I should just be 2 away. And sure enough, yeah, we were just 2 away there, and we outpaced the Trevenant just barely. So a close game. Dubwool there put in some work on the safe swap to get us back Switch. And then Diggersby, even with shields, with a shield disadvantage, can still handle a Trevenant in the back. So another Trevenant lead in the next battle, guys. I think these are the 2 most common leads I face, Trevenant and Altaria. And even though it's a negative lead, we're still going to play it out here. And again, the opponent brings in a Mandibuzz here, so not the best response to a Dubwool safe switch. A pretty neutral matchup. And in neutral matchups, that double kick body slam is just so deadly. I know that I will definitely have a good chance at taking back Switch here. So I'm just going to be constantly over farming in this matchup, trying to throw off the opponent's counts if I can, and just spamming out these body slams as fast as I can. And you're going to see this double kick body slam combination just adds up quite a bit, even on a very bulky mon like Mandibuzz. And there you saw me take 2 foul plays knowing I could survive and not really be in danger of being snarled down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to throw this body slam on the CMP to the next foul play. And what this does is it forces the opponent to make a shielding decision here. And since, as you'll see there, he let that body slam go, I now know that I can comfortably take back Switch here. So I will count up 3 more snarls here, and I will throw my body slam on the opponent's next foul play. And again, this is going to force the opponent to either shield to maintain Switch, or he's going to let this go and probably take a shield advantage, is what I would guess. And he does do just that, because he knew that if I wanted to double shield there, I could, and I would take back switch, but the opponent brings back in his Trevenant. Does the opponent know about payback? He does not, and we absolutely one-shot the Trevenant. I think the opponent there maybe thought I was trying to bait with the body slam, but I was not baiting, and we destroyed the Trevenant, and now there's a Toxapex in the back, and you guys can already see that this game is over. We bring in the Deoxys here basically just to get some utility out of it. Even though these moves are super effective, they don't do that much. We do get a shield from the Toxapex, which makes sense, but the Toxapex doesn't know that in the back we have a fully healthy XL Diggersby waiting for it, and there's just nothing it's going to be able to do against Diggersby. So we're just going to stay in here and let this thing take us out, and we're going to just get off our move. And actually, I think we might have CMP tied the opponent there, so if it wasn't over before, it's definitely over now. And we actually get the second shield too, so now you know what's coming. There's an Earthquake coming from this Toxapex, and what you're going to see is how ridiculously tanky Diggersby is when this Brine hits it, because Brine isn't the best move, but just look at how little damage this Brine is about to do to this Diggersby. A laughably small amount of damage. Yeah, a Diggersby probably could tank, looks like 3 more Brines maybe. And honestly, what I was really surprised about is how bulky Toxapex is. I haven't built one yet, and check this out. The Toxapex actually lives an EQ on 1 HP, so very nice there. I'm very impressed with how bulky Toxapex is after playing this team for quite a few sets. So another G-Fisk lead in the next battle. And the nice thing about this lead is we really have good answers for it all across our line here, so it doesn't really matter where we see this G-Fisk. And the way I like to play it on the lead when it stays in is I will wait for the opponent to throw and then save all the energy on my defense Deoxys for later, because the energy is really not that useful on the G-Fisk there because it resists all of Deoxys moves. So you see me switching the safe switch into the Dubwool there, excuse me, I can't speak. And the opponent actually baited me there with the Rock Slide, and I knew I could tank an Earthquake, which is why I didn't shield that. And then he reluctantly brings in his Azu, and this is absolutely perfect, exactly what we wanted to see, because Dubwool's job here is to lure out that best counter to Diggersby. So I'm thrilled to see it here. And again, if the opponent wants to take us out here, he's going to have to throw a Hydro Pump, because I think a lot of people are underestimating how bulky Dubwool is. And as you see there, we pretty comfortably tank a Play Rough there. I decided to go for a payback here, thinking that even though it's resisted, it may do more raw damage than 1 Body Slam. And I knew it was only getting to 1 move there, so I throw the payback. Hard to tell if that did more than a Body Slam. It looked like it was about the same. But now we're going to get to the Psycho Boost before the opponent gets to another move. And we have a lot of leftover energy here, so I know this Trevenant's going to be coming back in, so I'm switching right away. And we're even on shields now, and you already saw that the Diggersby was able to pretty comfortably tank out a Trevenant when it was down shields. Unfortunately, the opponent does bring back his G-Fisk skin, and I knew that an Earthquake there would do more damage than a Seed Bomb would do, so I actually decided to shield that Earthquake. And I'm expecting him probably to save both shields per Trevenant, but what he doesn't know is that even a Trevenant with a shield advantage is not going to be able to take out our Diggersby. And the other thing that gives us an edge here is that our defense Deoxys has a Psycho Boost loaded. And as you saw in a couple games prior, 1 Psycho Boost does about half of Trevenant's health, so even if I'm not able to take this out with my Diggersby here, I know that a Psycho Boost from the Trevenant will basically KO, so you're going to see me play it out. Again, I can take 2 Seed Bombs pretty comfortably, and the Trevenant's just not going to get to enough Seed Bombs to win this game. I am at just over 2 now. I'm going to start unloading these, and if the opponent shields the second one, I'll just fast swap into my defense Deoxys and Psycho Boost it. So let's see what the opponent does here. I think the opponent realizes here that I have the Psycho Boost loaded. Yeah, so he actually recognizes here, a very nice play by the opponent. He recognizes there that he has to save a shield for that Psycho Boost, so he actually lets the Fire Punch go and commits to potentially farming down my Diggersby. But he was never going to double resisted Shadow Claw down to Diggersby, so good game to the opponent there. Even though we lost that lead, we still managed to pull it off. So another Altaria in the next battle, and again, the opponent throws right before I get to the Thunderbolt, so very nicely done by the opponent. And you guys have seen already that a lot of these Altarias are seeming to like to shield one of my Thunderbolts, which I really don't love. So I actually am going to play this matchup slightly differently than you see me play the last ones. I'll throw the first Thunderbolt. It doesn't do too much, and rather than committing to the next Thunderbolt, I throw the Psycho Boost, thinking that maybe it'll cause the opponent not to shield, knowing they can take it, and it's exactly what happens. So this is a little bit better in my opinion. That Altaria does have quite a bit of energy, but now I'm going to come in and see if I can farm this thing down with the Dubwool. I know I'm going to have to take 2 moves, so I'll take the first one. Really hoping it's not another Dazzling Gleam. That'd be unfortunate, but it's just a Sky attack. And as you can see, it really doesn't do too much damage. And I think I should be able to farm down here, but again, the game is lagging, and the game has just been an absolute shambles. It really has. So I'm not sure if that affected our farm down. I think the opponent was probably going to get to another Sky attack anyway, but we do end up farming it down. And the opponent has a Toxicroak in the back, so this is really scary. I need Dubwool to get to 3 body slams here to have a chance at winning this game. The first one does slightly under half. I throw after 1 double kick for correct timing, and I throw at my second body slam. This is probably going to get a shield. Then I have to withstand these counters to get to the next body slam. Unfortunately, we just barely do. Look at Dubwool there, putting in an absolute clinic there, getting 3 body slams off against the fighter. And we get both shields there, and we get the Toxicroak to half health, though. I'm expecting this to be the Empoleon Toxicroak backline that we've already seen a couple times. So I'm gonna save that last shield for the Empoleon that's probably in the back, and just in case the Empoleon were to get to a Hydro Cannon, even though I should outpace it. And sure enough, it is the Empoleon. So I knew that I probably could have outpaced the Empoleon anyway, but I didn't commit that shield just in case I was wrong and it wasn't an Empoleon in the back. But you're gonna see us one-shot the Empoleon there, very nice, and one more mud shot takes care of the Toxicroak. So very nice game. And again, sorry about all the coughing and sputtering, guys. These allergies are just really hitting me. So as you see here, another Trevenant lead. I faced a lot of Trevenant leads. And this one's actually staying in here. I was very surprised. So I was kind of expecting the opponent to try to catch here. So I actually, I slightly overfarmed, but then he switches out. So maybe just wanting to get some chip damage. Even though this is a pretty dominant matchup for Altaria, I think the opponent just realized that he needed a guarantee to keep switch there, so that's why he chipped my Dubwool before switching in. And honestly, a nice play by the opponent, because now there's really no way I'm going to take switch back here. I do get the payback off, which is nice, and this is going to force the opponent to expend some energy here, because he knew that if he tried to farm me down, I was going to get to another body slam there. So he expends energy, and now we're going to make a kind of a risky play, guys. I'm thinking, depending on how the opponent throws here, and the opponent throws on bad timing, and I sneak a counter through. So since he did that, I'm going to now try to commit to a full counter farm down on a very bulky flying type in Altaria. And we just barely get the farm down. So now we're absolutely loaded on energy. I'm going to Psycho Boost this Trevenant if it comes back in, and then immediately dip out into the Diggersby. And we have to hope again that this opponent is double weak to the Diggersby on this team. And let's see what he comes in with here. So we get some chip damage off, and the opponent's staying in, so this is giving me hope here. I do let the first go, knowing he's going to get to multiple, but now I'm thinking maybe there's going to be like a G-Fisk or something in back that Diggersby can handle. So I'm going to play this very carefully. I'm going to get my Fire Punches off, and I'm going to throw on kind of off timing to try to prevent the opponent from catching. Because if there is a G-Fisk in the back, I don't want to risk the opponent catching a Fire Punch on the G-Fisk. So I'm carefully timing my moves. I do decide to commit my second shield, since even though I could live it, it would get me pretty low, and I still don't know what's in back. I could be wrong. It may not be a G-Fisk, but the opponent commits the last shield there, so now I'm almost positive that it's going to be a G-Fisk. So I over-farm there. The opponent did a nice job there. He was going to try to CMP tie me on that next Fire Punch, so I over-farmed to prevent that from happening. And sure enough, it's a G-Fisk in back. So I count to 4 here, 1 before he would get to a Rock Slide. And now I'm going to switch into my Defense Deoxys and try to win CMP against the G-Fisk here. So I build up, and I switch into the Defense Deoxys, and unfortunately, we do just lose CMP. The CMP tie on the Stunfisk Deoxys matchup is so close, it's very IV dependent. A defense-weighted Stunfisk will almost always lose CMP against Deoxys. So unfortunately, we lose CMP. And what I'm realizing is I can't take out this G-Fisk here, so let me pause it super briefly. So what you guys saw me do there is, I realized since I lost CMP, I needed to actually not take out this Diggersby and leave a little bit of health on the Stunfisk, excuse me, so that my Diggersby could come back in and farm it down. So the Psycho Boost goes through here, and you see that I'm at another. But what I don't want to do is throw that Psycho Boost and then let that Trevenant come back in and farm down my Deoxys, and then win CMP on my Diggersby. So I stop attacking there. I let the Stunfisk live with like 1 or 2 HP, and now I farm down with the Diggersby with the Fire Punch loaded, and we're going to KO the Trevenant there. So a very carefully played endgame there. If I take out that Stunfisk, I think that the Deoxys comes back, or the Trevenant comes back in and farms down my Deoxys and then wins CMP against the Diggersby. So sorry about that, guys. I actually had to cut the video there for a moment. I had a crying baby in the background that I had to deal with, so we're back into it, and I believe that we have 2 battles left here. So you saw some careful play in the endgame of the last battle, and in this battle we have an Azu lead. So this is where we want to see the Azu, and we're going to stay right here and just see what we can do. But the opponent actually safe switches into a Sableye here, and seeing this has automatically cued me into thinking this is most likely going to be Azu double Ghost. And Diggersby has a great matchup here, so we should be able to maintain switch advantage, and especially when the opponent baits us with the foul play there, so that's huge. So we're going to get this Earthquake off first before he gets off a return, and we're going to put the shielding pressure on the opponent right away. I don't like to bait here, and he does shield, but that's fine, because even if he hits us with a return here, this is not going to KO, so I do not have to respect this. And another Earthquake from us as well will not KO, but it will be getting that Sableye very low, and I doubt that the opponent's going to want to go down 2 shields this early on. Let's see what he decides to do here. He does let this go, and the opponent gets a little greedy there and overfarms, so what I actually decided to do is just get this Fire Punch off right away, because now if he wants to get this energy off, he's going to have to shield a Fire Punch, and he decides to just let it go. So what we've done here is we've gotten a shield advantage, and we have switch, and we got our Diggersby low so that the Azu is not going to get a lot of farm, so this is perfect. And we're even getting off a little bit of chip damage, so everything's going perfectly to plan. The Azu does stay in and throw a move on our Deoxys here, which is totally fine. And I'm expecting there to be a Trevenant in back, so I'm getting ready to switch here. Play rough goes through, and sure enough, there's the Trevenant, and here comes the Dubwool. And does the opponent know about payback? A lot of Trevenants today have not known about payback. Let's see if this one decides to respect it. He is down a shield. Will this payback go through on the Trevenant? And it does, and we one-shot the Trevenant. Absolutely beautiful. You love to see it. And the opponent's had enough, and he concedes the match. So very good game to the opponent. But this team does not care about Azu double Ghost. So last battle here, Sableye into Deoxys. The worst matchup really that we could have asked for. And the opponent, I come in with a double, and the opponent's actually staying in, so I overfarm there, thinking he might try to catch, and he still catches the payback on the Azu, so very well done by the opponent there. So this is not looking good for us. You can see that payback really doesn't do a lot of damage. So what I'm going to do here is just build up a lot of energy and try to bluff a potential wild charge. I don't know if there's any crazy people out there that are running double with payback and wild charge, but maybe I am, and the opponent gets worried and he shields, so that's huge. So we have gotten ourselves a shield advantage. And what I'm realizing here is I'm probably not going to be able to take back switch here, but I'm going to give my Diggersby a shield advantage, because Diggersby can put in a lot of work against Sableye, and if they're double weak to this, then we might be able to sweep in the back with Diggersby. So I'm not going to commit a shield. Dubwool doesn't care about play roughs. It tanks play roughs, and it looks like I'm going to be able to get to 2 more body slams here, so this is crazy. Dubwool is just putting in so much work on the safe swap, and the opponent lets me get to 1 more body slam, and this is not going to KO, but this is going to get that Azu into a range where 2 or 3 counters from Deoxys should be able to take it out. And they're only going to get to 1 move on our Deoxys here, so they're probably just going to full send the Hydro Pump. Let's see what they decide to do. But health on my Deoxys is not going to be my win con here, because Deoxys really just can't do a whole lot against Sableye. So I know it's going to be coming back in. I'm going to switch right away into the Diggersby. I bring in the Diggersby, and sure enough, the Sableye is staying in, and he's throwing energy. So I'm expecting a bait here since they have 2 shields. And again, yet another Sableye baiting my very bulky Diggersby, and Diggersby does not care about foul plays. It'll eat those for days. And again, I know I could survive a return, but since I don't know it's in back, I do decide to commit a shield here. I knew it was probably going to be a foul play bait, but I didn't want to risk there being like a heavy fast move pressure in the back that was going to KO me if I let that go. So I do shield, and the opponent shields my second Earthquake, so now I'm thinking this opponent must be very weak to my Diggersby, so I'm definitely going to commit this last shield here. Just another foul play, but the opponent's still staying in, even though I have the energy for the Earthquake. So what's going to be in back? I was hoping it was going to be a G-Fisk. The Earthquake does one-shot the Sableye, and it's a Bastiodon. And the only thing I enjoy more than making Azu's top left is making Bastiodon's top left. So good game to the opponent there. And again, you saw that team put in so much work. Dubwool just so strong on the safe swap. And again, I climbed up from 2300 all the way up to 2615 with this team. So if you guys are looking for a strong team to climb, this is the team for you. And again, thank you guys for watching. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe to the channel. It'll help me get my videos out to more people. And the more subscribers we can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.